Boy, it's been one of those rainy days today. The sun is starting to go down. It's about 6:30. You can see what's left of the storms that were here. A lot of lightning, not a lot of rain though, which is kind of interesting. And here I am, riding on the old bike with tires that aren't going to pop anytime soon. That's great. Seat's a little loose though. I tried tightening it, but who knows what's going on here. Anyway, let's see if we can get across the street without getting run over. Looks like we're doing good so far, I hope. It'll give you a lot of time, doesn't it? All right. Very good. Got a van blocking the way. People, I don't know what's wrong with these people, the way they drive here. Share the road. No thanks. I want to be road pizza. I'll end up like most of the ducks and iguanas around here. And I am not a duck or iguana. Well, anyway, it's Sunday. And I decided I had to do some work in the morning, so I had to fire up the van and do some work over at one of my office customers and move a couple of things back to the home and back to the office and just do general work, which is fine. I don't mind that. But on the other hand, when I got home, which was around after 1, watched a couple of live streams. 2 of the live streams I like to watch are at the same time. There's what is his name? Tony Stewart has one with Dutch Carnivore, and guest Alia Wells was there, which was interesting. I'm starting to see here all over. It's good. Also, the other one is John Laspina's Carnivore Teacher channel. He used to call himself Carnivore 1965, but now he's calling himself Carnivore Teacher Alpha, whatever. And they had an interview with someone, and again, somebody else that healed all kinds of problems with the carnivore diet. You see this over and over and over again. Seems to be a common theme, and I'm glad. The more people that can heal their problems with the carnivore diet, the better. I think that's great. Anyway, I see some duckies. I see big, fat, delicious ducky. Delicious. Look at those 2 big male ducks. Black duck, black and white duck. Look at all the duckies. Hey, quackers. Let's take a look. There's black duck. There's black and white duck. Looks like they're a little bit on the aggressive side. They were probably fighting with each other. They're all wet. Who knows? I don't see any females, so they're not mating. Although I have been seeing more ducklings lately. I think a lot of that is because our rainy season, although it's very late, has started. Sadly though, some places down here are still in a drought. Very weird year. We started the year very dry, unusually so, and hot. So I was worried about a hurricane hitting. Fortunately for us, no hurricanes formed in the Atlantic. Now that the rainy season has come, even if the hurricanes do form, and they're starting to form, they will not be able to come here. Absolutely not. One of the biggest problems, of course, is that one of these days, one will hit here. Now, as you know, my friend, he got his house destroyed by a tree that blew over in a thunderstorm. It cracked one beam, popped the other one out. Thankfully, unlike me, he has insurance. So, and the county condemned his house because he had somebody living there. And I guess she must have let them in. But that's okay. I think he's been trying to get her out of there. She hasn't been paying much rent. So it's a great excuse to send her away. Hello, Mr. Duck. Fresh duck. Mr. Ducky. I like it when we get the rain because it brings the ducks away from the canal. The water brings up insects, so the ducks can have a delicious meal. That's fantastic. All right, let's see. Red light. I guess it's safe to sneak through. Again, ride bike. No cops are going to bother you. They got more important things to do than harass a cyclist that looks like he's homeless. I always dress up ratty when I'm riding my crappy bike. That way, no one's going to bother you. I saw a very interesting video on YouTube from some younger guy that was saying how bad the millennials have it. I agree. A lot of the things were like that when I was younger. Here in Miami anyway. Miami always seems to lead in the trends. Unaffordable living, low wages. People don't treat you very well. That's just one of those things. And I hate to say it, it is a trend that's spreading. You look around Florida, you can see how much of Florida has been developed and destroyed in the last few decades. This took place a long time ago here in Miami. Miami is one of the early places where development wiped out everything. And I mean everything. There's another one of those stupid share the road signs. This is not the place for a cyclist. On the street with all these cars, people that probably are watching the phone more than the road. Oh, that's a pretty big air plant. I'll probably pick that one up on the way home. Ever since the county planted these oak trees about 25 years ago, a lot of them have become hosts for these native air plants. I used to have a nice collection. They're basically like bromeliads. I had a lot of them in my yard, but there was a beetle, an invasive beetle that came in and wiped out pretty much all of them. But like everything else, not every plant is identical. All those grew from seedlings. Now, since mine came from mostly one region, they were all wiped out. But others spread, and now they've sort of reestablished themselves. Let's scrap the truck. All kinds of stuff in there. The old lady. One of the last of the old timers in this neighborhood. Let's see, she probably got a couple more years to go. As soon as she kicks the bucket, somebody's going to buy the place. They'll either tear it down or they'll remodel it so it looks like these, black, white, and gray. Somebody's got one of the new Broncos. Interesting, it's got that sort of 1980s color scheme. There does seem to be some things with the retro theme, although they never quite get it right. I actually saw another video that Pizza Hut had actually remodeled some of their restaurants into the way they looked in the 1980s, with the Pizza Hut lamps and the paneling and all the other things that you would see as a Pizza Hut. Now, I was not a big pizza eater as a kid, but a lot of people I knew, they loved to go to Pizza Hut. So I do kind of remember what it looks like. We had another place called Godfather's Pizza. It was over there here on Bird Road. They had these commercials, Godfather's Pizza, the pizza you can't refuse. I was probably 12, 13 years old. I know I was in junior high, and one time, I guess not that long after they opened it, they sent out some coupons and had a deal, so my parents thought, well, let's see what the pizza's like. I remember eating it. It didn't taste bad, but boy did I get the diarrhea. Every time I've eaten pizza in any quantity, I've always gotten pizza diarrhea. Seems to be my thing. All right. Okay. We're almost there, I hope. Anyway, with that being said, didn't eat out a lot as a kid. Generally, when we ate out, we would go to the Sweden House smorgasbord. That was my favorite place to go. But sometime 81, 82, I don't remember. I know it was in junior high. They closed it. Then they had the other one that was a little bit further north, which we could go to off of Biscayne Boulevard. And I remember going there up to when I was in high school, and then they closed that too. They opened up a place called Duff's Smorgasbord in Hialeah. So we would go there. It was actually even better than the Sweden House because they had a wider variety of foods. And while early, I'd eat almost anything. As I got into my carnivore heart attack diet, I would hit the fried chickens, and they had some kind of roast beef, which is like what they used to have at Sweden House. Well, I see they're putting in some of these pipes. These definitely look like water pipes. Are these steel or are they carbon? They're steel. It says sewer use only. Okay. So this is sewer pipe. All right. So they're replacing the sewer pipes. I guess it's lined. Yeah. Looks like it's lined with epoxy. It's a pretty good sized pipe. It's at least 24 inches. Might be 36 inches. They're pretty big pipes. So they'll be digging this up, making a giant mess. Got to keep expanding these sewer pipes so that you can keep pumping all the sewage from all these apartment buildings. What is all this? Oh, these are the lids. Okay, got some gaskets. Those are basically just pressure gaskets. They actually have a machine that clamps the pipe, and then they use hydraulic rams to push the pipe together. You can also use it to take pipe apart if necessary. That's the good thing about the sewer line. The water line, as being a pressure fitting, they use flanges that bolt together. Or at least that's what they used. Anyway, I can see there, looks like they're also putting in some boxes. Interesting. That one's got a flange on it. More pipes over there. Looks like a cross T or something. Huh. Oh, that's got a lift pump on it. Okay, that's where they're doing the digging. That was another job I had years ago. I worked with one of these, these installer crews. They put in pipes. That was at a development not that far from here, west of here, back in the late 80s when I was in college. You can see what our soil is. It's all this rock. And it's basically almost solid rock. And you have to dig it up, which is what they're doing here. They've got a decent sized excavator, got a wheel loader. You can see they've got the hardened teeth on the bucket. So they're digging this up. And usually when they do dig it up, they fill it in with crushed rock that's more consistent. There's a cover plate, I guess, where they're making connections. These are the structures that they put into the trench to prevent collapse. I forget what we used to call them. But it's a safety feature. One of the worst things that can happen, and it doesn't really happen here that often because of how much rock we have, but up in Broward, I've worked over there before, it's a lot of sand. We actually had another company where somebody got trapped just above their waist when the trench collapsed. And thankfully, he didn't go any deeper because he would have been dead. Once you're in a trench and the fill falls around you, there's basically no way that you can get out. You have to be dug out carefully. I think now they actually have sort of a caisson looking thing. They can lower around the worker, and then they use vacuum excavation, and they suck out as much material as they can, as they drop in the casing. But when I did that kind of work, I always insisted I am not going in the trench for any reason. So I would usually be put on some kind of equipment. And everything from a TLB or a tractor with backhoe, skid steer, which is usually what I would go for. That's probably the least risky of all the jobs. Basically just shuttling material back and forth. And mini excavator, and sometimes even on the big excavator. I've run a few of those. Back then they were mostly Caterpillar. They also had John Deere, but Caterpillar seemed to be the most common. It was interesting. And again, not that difficult of a job. Now back then, most of the equipment did not have climate control, so it'd get pretty hot and dusty, but that was okay. It just kept a lot of the competition for the work away. There weren't too many people out there trying to do your job. And we didn't have a whole lot of migrants. I mean, they were there. We had the Marielitos from Cuba, and most of them, they were already pretty much established, and they basically became residents automatically. Some of them to this day, I don't even think got citizenship, but they're residents, they're legal, so that was it. And they'd work, but there was still a lot of work for those of us that needed work. Today, it's not quite the same. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Let's see if we can get out of here. We got the stupid sidewalk blocked. I'm not going to make that light. But it really was kind of nice, at least back then. If you needed work, it was easy to find. You could go to pretty much any company. They'd have a sign, help wanted, and you could get a job like nothing, depending on who you had. Most of the time you'd want to have a reference, but even if you didn't have one, they'd still hire you. If you seemed like a reasonably competent person, which means you weren't drunk or drugged, and you knew what you were saying, you'd be out on the job. And again, they might give you one of the least risky jobs. Maybe you're just driving back and forth to get materials, or maybe the skid steer and the backhoe, and eventually, well, in the larger equipment, such as the excavator. Okay. Let's see. These streets are kind of... Why do they always go so slow? You don't know what they're going to do. They got no signal. Let me just cross this road while I can. Okay. Yeah, we got it. I wonder whatever happened to the duck nest that was here. I don't see Mrs. Duck. I think it was over there by that tree. I guess they must have hatched. Well, that's good. Anyway. It was nice to be able to find a job easily, but, you know, sometimes it could be a bit of a challenge. Now, what I've noticed today, a lot of the younger people that I know, my friends' kids and grandkids and all that, everybody wants to be either an influencer, or they want to have some type of tech job, where they don't have to work too hard, and they earn good money. But I have a bad feeling. I've told a couple of them, I said, look, by the time that you find out about jobs that pay well, everybody gets into it. And oh, look at the duckies. Oh, there's a lot of ducks in the park. Delicious duck. Look at all those ducks with ducklings. Wow. This Pamiami Park is loaded with ducks. Delicious birds. I need to bring my net over here. Go there at night and grab a couple of them. I'm almost ready. I've been working. Now the weather didn't cooperate today. Maybe tomorrow. I don't think I have to work. I may work outside if it doesn't rain, although I have a feeling it probably will rain. But I need to get my side yard cleaned out, and then I'll put back the duck pond, and I'll set up the executive suite. Then I'll go and grab some ducks and start a new flock. And if all goes well, I'll have a big, fat Muscovy duck being fattened up and ready. Now, it won't be long before the so-called holiday season is here. Everybody loves to have some delicious bird. Anyway, what better time to have a fat duck or Egyptian goose or something else really tasty? This is quite a hill. That's why I'm going slow. The gears don't work on the bike, so we get ourselves a little bit of a workout here. This bridge is already cracking. Look at this. Well, at least it's just the apron that's cracking. It's not the main structure. I'd be worried if the main structure was cracking like that. The only thing I don't like is how wide this is. Anybody could drive through here. They need to put a barrier. Unless they did this on purpose. Anyway, there's the county permitting center. That's where the enemy hangs out. You got an Office Max over there. I'm really surprised that that store is still in business. I thought most people get their office supplies online. There's a lot of water next to the turnpike, so it did rain quite a bit, but you can't even see it now. Very interesting. And here's my favorite part of the bike ride. You can just take your legs off the pedals and let gravity do the work. There is only one little slight problem. I don't have any brakes. Oh boy. This is going to be fun. Watch out. There we go. I feel like I'm on an e-bike. Not bad. I'll tell you one thing, these new tires are definitely an improvement. So let's see if we can slow down a little bit here. We'll go into the grass. That will slow us down. There we go. Perfect. I guess it's like the airport when you go on the runway and then you can kind of hit that concrete or that sand at the end of the runway, they'll slow you down. Wow, look at this. Okay. Nobody's going, that's good. Uh-oh, light's gonna change. All right. And there is Sedanos. Supposed to have a sale on meat. We'll see if they have any. I waited too long, but hey, what can you do? Anyway, we'll just go in here. Not very many cars because it's Sunday. Yep. Old shopping center from the 80s. They just remodeled it. There's the AMC movie theater. I'm surprised anybody still goes to a movie theater. Huh. I think the gym is still there. Yeah. Now they call it UFit. It used to be called Porky's Gym. All right. Okay. Let's see if we can make it between these cars without hitting one. And I did. There's that. I guess that's a meat place. Some kind of restaurant. It smells like seed oils though, which isn't good. Well, there's that old van still sitting there. Guess they just use it as an advertisement. All right. Here we are at Sedanos with the Navarro drugstore next door. Yep. I believe Navarro and CBS are owned by the same company. Oh well. Here we are. All right. Let's see how this goes. And I'll catch you later.